Did you already try to learn a backflip and did some tries into the pool or on a mat? Let me explain to you why this is not the best option and how you can safely learn it. Before I start to tell you what you have to do in order to learn the backflip, please be very careful with that training. If you can't do the backflip yet and just try it, you can get severely injured. Don't do more than you're capable of and let yourself enough time with it. This won't be something you will learn in a few days. For the most people it will take several weeks or even months. Alright, let's first take a look at the backflip and what is important to do it correctly. You have to jump up explosively, pull your arms up until the locking position, keep your pelvis backwards, tuck your knees, wait a bit, and straighten your whole body to finish with a controlled landing. Now that you've seen a correct backflip, let's take a look on some common mistakes. Not jumping high enough. Even though someone with a good technique is able to do a backflip almost without jumping, it will definitely help you in the beginning if you can jump high enough. And it's not only about jumping, but also about coordinating your arm swing to the jump to get the most height possible. Just doing it. A lot of people see videos of backflips and think they just have to jump up and rotate backwards. I'm sure you have seen some fail videos on the web. Please don't do it like that. Learn the technique first and move towards the backflip slowly, step by step. Jumping backwards. When you try the backflip by jumping into a pool, you already made a mistake. To get the most height you can get, you have to jump vertically. The more you get away from a straight jump upwards, the more you lose height. If you jump backwards into a pool or on a mat, you have to jump backwards, which gives you less airtime for your rotation and less control of your landing. Throwing your upper body backwards. Sometimes people think it's just about skidding the upper body backwards to get momentum. Well, it's one way, like you've seen it with the non-jumping backflip, but you need the technique for it. If you stand and just spin your upper body backwards, you will most likely also jump backwards. Not tucking enough. You know how it works. The longer the lever, the slower the rotation gets. So if you tuck really tight and get as small as possible, you can increase your rotational speed, and with that you have more time for opening up and land. Now let's get to how to learn the backflip. Before you start doing the flip itself, you should prepare yourself for the important parts of the movement. This means you should practice high jumping with and without swinging the arms, locking the arms correctly, tucking explosively, compressed tucking for holding against the rotational forces, the right body alignment in the takeoff, and the landing. High jumping is explosive leg strength. So you should try to accelerate your body as fast as possible on the way from your squat until you leave the ground. Practice explosive jumps or explosive squats with about 50% of your 1 RM. Never go to fatigue, try to stay as fresh as possible and let yourself enough time for resting. Explosive strength is a lot about coordinative aspects and a good concentration. If you are tired, you won't be able to get all out of it. Perform jumps with, but also without the support of your arms. To practice the arm swing, you can go on your knees and try to lift off the ground just by swinging the arms and stop them subtly. The faster you stop them, the more momentum gets transferred to your body and the higher you will lift off the ground. You can also do this exercise in a standing or in a sitting position. Standing makes it a bit easier, sitting makes it harder. To practice an explosive tuck, you start by lying on the floor with your hands next to your hips. Now you initiate the move with an explosive shoulder flexion, stopping the arms somewhere above your head and use the momentum to roll backwards. Make sure you keep your head touching the ground all the time. To reduce the stress on your neck, you can put your shoulders on a mat and put something behind your head where you can stop your rotation with your feet. For the compressed tuck, you can do a tuck lying on the ground. Try to move your ears between your knees. If you reach the furthest point, try to tuck even a bit more. Hold your arms next to your body parallel to the ground and hold the position for some seconds. Another exercise is the sitting leg lift, which we already explained in our 2 underrated exercises you should be doing video. If you feel you get better and want to step it up, you can also use resistance bands to increase the intensity of this exercise. To practice the right body alignment when taking off, you could do high jumps with a posterior pelvic tilt. With that, you should jump a tiny bit forward and start rotating a bit backwards. Use a mat to jump off from and land on to be able to roll backwards after your landing if necessary. It's also really important to avoid keeping your hips bent. Make sure that your shoulders are right above or even a tiny bit in front of your toes when you take off. With that, you will be able to avoid the backward motion. The last thing you can do to prepare should be the first thing you implement into your routine. Every time you jump, you also have to land somehow, and you will profit if you can already land when you start training to jump. To learn the landing for the backflip, you can practice landing as quiet as possible. Try to not land hard, but to smoothly decelerate the movement. Tense your toes right before you land to feel when you have to start your landing movement. Then start to decelerate by applying the force through your feet, ankles, knees and hips. Try to leave a tiny bit to your endpoint when you stop your downward movement. Do these exercises for quite a while before you move on. If you are able to control these movements, you can start with the flip itself. Therefore, you will need 2 bodies to support you and a martial arts belt. If you want to step it up, you can use a harness that gymnasts use, but it makes no big difference, and in my opinion it makes it even harder because you can't support the rotation that good. Let me show you one way to tie a martial arts belt. This is only one option, and if you already know how to tie it so that it could not open, then keep doing it like that. At first, do some test jumps without rotating. This is to test if your bodies can hold you and to give yourself some confidence for the rotation. To test the strength of your bodies, they have to hold you up for a second. Now you can start doing the flip. Be sure that your bodies know when you do your first try. Make sure they choose a grip with that they can hold you and support your rotation. Grab the belt from above with your left hand when you stand on the right side if you want to support the rotation with your free arm, but then you can't rotate that far. Grab it from below with the other hand to have more range of motion, but without being able to support the feet. One or even both of them can also use their second hand to support your rotation even more by pushing your feet. Now, if you've done your first flip with your supporter, you need a lot of reps to get some feeling for the movement and to improve your coordination. Please take your time at this stage, because this is very important for your flip later. If you learn any mistakes in this stage, it's very hard to correct them later. So better do way too many attempts than one too little. Now, as the reps add up, you have to listen to your body and pay attention to how you feel while flipping. If you feel that you get comfortable with the movement, your bodies can now reduce their support step by step. They can do this by just not pulling you up so hard. The next step of reducing the support is to grab the belt a bit looser until they don't support you anymore. They should still keep their hands on the belt in case you suddenly stop rotation in mid-air. which by the way happens to almost everyone at least once, but more likely several times. So be prepared for that. It's an important part of your learning phase and coordination improvement. If you manage to do a few hundred reps without any support, your buddies can now take their hands off the belt. From this stage on, you only need one supporter, who holds you at the upper back with one hand and can support your rotation if necessary with the other hand. The hand placement at the upper back enables your body to push you a bit forward when you jump backwards. In this way, you can get a very good feeling for the right position when taking off. With every step of reduced support, you will feel very uncomfortable and insecure. Don't mind, this is normal and will go away after a few reps. At every stage, it's important that you concentrate and focus on the right technique. Let your buddies also see this video so that they know what is important and what they should look at. Because they can really help you learning the flip if they can tell you what you did right and what you did wrong. If they aren't able to do so, just record yourself on video and watch it afterwards. To support and fasten up the learning process, you can do some mental training for the technique. This will boost your improvements quite a bit. But you shouldn't start with it until your buddies can stop supporting you. Because to make this work well, you need some imagination about what is going on when you do the flip. You need to be able to think about the single parts of the movement, how they feel, and what you exactly do when you do the flip. To train mentally, just get yourself in a silent surrounding, find a comfortable position, and close your eyes if you want. Now imagine the complete process of doing the backflip in your mind. Feel how it feels if you do it in reality, and do the complete movement in your head. This works best if you do it in the evening, right before falling asleep. Sleeping helps your body to process the information and save it to your hard disk. If you get better with one supporter, it might be another challenge to let the supporter step back and do it all alone. But again, this gets better with every rep you do. What can you do if you do any technical mistakes? Just do one step back and practice it again. The earlier you find a mistake, the easier it is to correct it. The better your fitness is when you start training the backflip, the faster you will learn it. And you know how to build up a pretty nice fitness? Right, with our workout programs. Just visit our website and choose the program that fits to you. If you have any questions, let me know. And I request to send me an email when someone learns the backflip with this video. Thanks, Alex.